precursors have nothing to do with the loan. Have nothing to do with the fucking loan. All right, I'm turning the mic back on. I know it was live. I just forgot to turn it off. Hey, there are some stupid mother effing people in the world, and I am so annoyed right now. It's just, I just don't understand people. Because this kind of nonsense over here is something I deal with a lot, especially when I comment on things on Instagram, because, oh, they go look at my profile. They don't like what I say and what I look like, so certainly that means I'm not black. It's Joe Biden time. I'm just telling you. Shut that music off. And it's annoying as, I just want to say the word, F. Starts with an F. It's the sound. It ends with a UCK. And no, I don't mean fire truck. Anyway, we'll talk about some trending topics. Then I'm going to talk about this topic because, actually, I'm going to talk about one case that I talked about a while back, but I want to get a little more in depth with it because apparently there's a class action suit that I just noticed that I didn't notice before. So get ready, buckle up, let's go, play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yep, that is me. Johnny, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel. For those of you returning, if you are new, well, welcome for the first time or the second time or whatever time it is you have been here. And this is the, we'll count that for now. I am, as I said in the pre-intro, I'm annoyed. However, then my daughter sent me this picture of my granddaughter kissing my other granddaughter, and it made everything better this morning. I just thought that was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I'm very happy, and that calmed me down. Like, I just happened to get the buzz while the intro was playing. I'm like, oh, what is this? And I'm just... I'm melting. So anyway, good morning, and I'm glad you're here. I even had to darken up the contrast on the show just because I'm so annoyed right now, just to prove that I'm a black man. I get this all the time on the internet, okay? So I go in the comment section, I'll comment on something that might be just a little bit controversial. And because I don't always agree with the common theme amongst my peoples, and sometimes I say that some things that they think might be racist or whatever isn't, because there's reason to believe and there's facts that might just mean this is just another day in the world of the world. And they automatically go into my profile and Instagram or whatever and look at me and don't look very carefully, because I know on camera I look very, very light-skinned because I'm team light-skinned. I'm a light-skinned brother, right? But they look at what I look like because I have studio lights. When you're under studio lights, you look lighter anyway. Every person in the world looks lighter under studio lights. And then they look at my opinions, which don't necessarily match the opinions of the mainstream or the majority of my fellow brothers and sisters. And they immediately make an assumption that I am white. And not that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just like, look, first of all, my opinions, whether I am white or not white, are not dependent on the amount of melanin and pigment in my skin. Although, and what the funniest ones are always like, well, you can't talk about this because you're white, or you can't talk about this because you're not black. You don't understand the black experience. You don't understand this. You don't understand that. And I'm like, look here, butthole. First of all, don't let the light skin fool you. I am a black man. I grew up in a black family, descendants of slaves, although I was adopted. But even though I was adopted, I was black before I was adopted. My father, my natural father, is I'm from a long line of black men, dark-skinned, melanated mother effers in Nigeria. Okay? Now, my natural mother is Irish. So yes, that's why probably the Irish genes shone through when it came to skin color, but I'm still a black man. And so I every damn time I have to go, hello, or they'll say something like, well, like this, what was the comment in this one here? This person said something like, here's I'm gonna read this to you because this is funny. So we're talking about the Navy Federal Credit Union. We're going to talk about that story today too. The Navy Federal Credit Union, the CNN did some report that says the Navy Federal Credit Union was rejecting more than half of its black conventional loan applicants, and they rejected only 75% of the white. That's racism, right? Now, they didn't say the word racism, but they're saying that, well, this must be, some white privilege and this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's the story. And I'll show you the video and on Instagram. I'll show you the whole thing here, what we'll get to. But this is the comment this morning. I've been going back and forth with this dude about, my experience in the business. Because I was in the mortgage business for 12 years. I know so much. I've looked at more credit reports. I looked at more loan applications. And about a third of my clientele was black. And I've done low income census tracts. I've done incomes in the hood. I've done loans in, all over the Twin Cities, right? And so I know just my experience. I just basically told him my experience. And we've been going back and forth on this one particular topic. And he said, he starts with, is your theory that all whites that were approved had higher credit scores? Said nothing like that. Anyway, if so, where in the interview did you hear anything to suggest that? I didn't, because I didn't get that from there. I got it from my experience. But here's the part that he said. Did you just make this all up in your head? Systemic racism is embedded into every institution in America. I know that you choose not to agree with that. You love the perks that still exist with being white in America. And you're probably a bit uptight that you're not getting more. How dare someone point out that an institution was caught favoring white? Look, here's the truth of the matter. Blacks don't really don't want your country. We are some of the most resilient people on the planet. I'm willing to bet that just about every single black person who was denied by the Navy Federal Credit Union will buy a house eventually, and that's one way or another. So, I live with the perks of being white in America.
You're fucking a white man!
And I'm probably a bit uptight that I'm not getting more perks for being white in America. Now, I haven't answered this one yet because all throughout this thread, I've been talking to people and someone's like, giving me this thing like, oh, yes, because you're a white man. I'm like, I'm not a white man. I'm a black man. I do loans. I've done loans for hundreds of black people. And I worked with people with good credit, bad credit, all different kinds of situations. I actually educated people so they wouldn't have to go into the subprime market because I thought the subprime market was a bullshit and shark-infested waters. So I tried my best to educate people. I said, look, let's take some time and fix the problems you have before we actually do a full loan application. Then we'll submit them to some lenders that I know because I know the different lenders' quirks and what they, where they give leeway here and some lenders give leeway there. Some lenders don't give leeway at all. Navy Federal Credit Union. And we'll get you a loan, a good loan, the best, scenario we can get because we did some work first. But these people are like, oh, no, they're automatically racist because there's a disparity between certain demographics. Well, there's some things that I found in my experience in this business, working with all sorts of people, that, yeah, maybe a factor in the disparity that has nothing to do with this. And in fact, many comedians joke about these things all the time because there was something missing in the report. Now, we'll get to that after I say good morning to everybody, and after we go through some of the trending topics and a couple articles. And then we'll get to that topic. And I'm not going to probably do articles. I'll probably just leave the articles alone. I'll just put them in the links. But because I think I want to get to this story and this whole little thread that I'm dealing with. Okay, so first, let's do a couple of this. Zed the Snarky, thank you, dropping a 556, a big bullet in the tip jar. And Zed the Snarky, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you for sponsoring the show with no message. Okay, the message, you don't have to leave a message, but when you want to leave a message, you leave a message. If you don't, that's cool too. Appreciate you sponsoring the show. Also, thank you. Good morning, my friend Kay. Kay, I'm glad you're feeling a little better. Just stay the progress, right? Who says, Kay says, he's really darker in person. It's just a mask. Yes, it's just a mask. Thank you, Kay. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's studio lights. And I actually changed the contrast just so I look a little bit darker for this show, because I'm annoyed. Yeah, I'm darker in person. In fact, if you look at my pictures from when I was a kid, when this is actually hair instead of the shit that I shave off, if I let this grow out, I actually grow an afro. So it really does. I have pictures. I wouldn't call it an afro, but well, I guess it was kind of an afro, but not really. But if you see a picture of my family, I'm the same color as my black family that adopted me. It's amazing, isn't it? And the thought of that is just amazing. I am actually a black man. Now, if you ask Joe Biden, if you ask just Joe Biden, okay, then I'm not black because I didn't vote for that dumbass. But anyway, all right, let's say hi to everybody. First in chat over on Rumble, Mr. Avocados Diablo gets the bell. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Also, good morning, Cannibalistic Wizard and Hypnagogic Monk. That's all the people on the... that I see over there. There might be one. Oh, this says 9 watching, so there's probably some few more. If you're watching on Rumble, just say hi in the chat. You don't have to chat anymore. Just say hi, and I'll make sure to acknowledge you. On YouTube, first in the chat is Mr. Avocados Diablo, who also still gets the bell. Also, good morning, Gunfox61, the amazing administrator of our Discord server for the P-Dog Night channel. Good morning, also Special K on Acid, Zed the Starkey, Alan Feller. Hey, Feller. Simon Wolfwood, I don't know if I did that. That was terrible. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. This is Special K. Attack Alpaca. James Colley. Nope. The only metric matters is Hump Day Madness. Greetings, Boomer Vision Nation. Yes, good morning, James Colley. Simon Wolfwood, good morning. That skipped a lot. Holy smokes. I did not mean for it to skip that damn much. Let me get back to where I was. James Colley, Simon Wolfwood, another guy, V, thank you for joining us. Patio Furniture, let's see, I said that already. JB's in the house. Patio Furniture, Shrapnel K, of course, who's dropped a deuce in the tip jar through YouTube Super Chats. Jay Pylon from Hotep Nation. Also, good morning, Crackshot. Nice to have you back. Black and brown Muslims enslaved over 100 million Africans. Well, they enslaved a lot of different people now. They enslaved some white peoples too. Like the Barbary pirates, they would go into Southern Europe, and they would kidnap people and force them on their ships, and they would have them rowing, like constantly rowing on those rowing ships, and basically they would take them and they would enslave them, and they would row themselves to death like constantly, and then they throw them off the boat and find some new ones. So yeah, there's slavers all over the place. Anyway, I don't know why I brought that topic up. Good morning, Trippy Liberty, Zombie Teddy, and who else? I got everybody. Tyler F's in the house, and Dumb Beard. What's up, Beard? we gotta meet up one of these days. Beard's also a Twin City person, like Kay and Beard, and there might be a couple others. Oh, and Maddie is a Twin Cities person. We love our Twin Cities people. Rick Ashbreaker's in the house. All right, there you go. Let's see. Let's talk about what's happening in the world. Thank you, by the way, Somnambule Nation for tweeting out the show. Tyler F, another guy V, Mara P. I don't even know who that is, but thank you, Mara, for retweeting the show. Somnambule Nation. If you haven't done so, share the stream. That would be very helpful. It always is. We get a few new people. It's interesting because for a while there, the show was only averaging about 20, 25 people. I mean, we've been in the 40s for a while. Now we were down in the 25s, but we're back up in the 40s regular. Let's see if we can get more. You know what I mean? You've got a second kid coming in like 3 weeks. We need to find time to hang out, though. Yeah, you know what? And I got a new grandbaby. So they're going to be almost close to the same age. Oh, what's interesting, too, is like my first granddaughter was born on March 13th. And the second granddaughter was born on January 13th. So it's easy to remember their birthdays now because they're both on the 13th. And but the only thing is they're going to have every once in a while they're going to have Friday the 13th birthdays, which is going to be weird. So we'll have like, when they get older and understand that Friday the 13th is supposed to be a spooky day, maybe we'll have spooky birthday party or something like that for them. So anyway, or not, we'll see. Let's see. Where was I going here? Let's get into the stuff that's trending today. James Earl Jones is trending. The great actor who says this is CNN. And also the voice of Darth Vader. Use the Force, Luke. James Earl Jones is trending because it's his birthday. He's not dead. Happy birthday, James Earl Jones, the great actor, the great voice actor, the great general person. In fact, he was he played the king of what's that in Coming to America. He played what was the name of the country? Nubutu or something like that. Anyway, but he's also the voice of Darth Vader, the voice of CNN, and he's not dead. He is. I'm trying to think of how he's 93 today, and he is still alive. So, happy birthday, James Earl Jones. Hello, Don Julio, Gulf City biker and trash man. Welcome to the show. Hail Tulsa Doom. I don't know what that means. Tulsa Doom. So anyway, happy birthday, James Earl Jones. Another person that's trending this morning is Betty White. It's Betty White's birthday too, except now Betty White has passed. She passed at 100 years old, but it is her birthday today. Happy birthday to the unforgettable Betty White, who would have celebrated her 102nd birthday today. So everybody loves Betty White, and she was a staple on television for, boy, a good portion of her entire years. Tulsa Doom was a JEG character in Conan the Barbarian. Oh yes, that's right. He was in Conan the Barbarian too. Oh man, that's a classic only because it was Arnold Schwarzenegger basically just being a muscular dude, and the acting was not great, but it had James Earl Jones and Wilt Chamberlain in it. By the way, Wilt Chamberlain, I've been learning a lot more about him lately because a lot of people always talking about who's the greatest basketball players ever, and he's always on the list. But he was like an amazing athlete, like a multi-sport athlete. He was actually very incredible. But anyway, yes. Now when I put him back, I put Betty White back on because I never had her on the screen. Okay, also trending, Sean Hannity is trending, and mostly Sean Hannity is trending because, let's see, where's the clip? Because Sean Hannity took a shot at Rachel Maddow. And so there's a back and forth going on the app formerly known as Twitter called X about Sean Hannity saying something about Rachel Maddow. And this is the clip. I'll put it on the screen here in a second. Let me fix that. here's the clip. Sean Hannity discussing Rachel Maddow, saying that she's a fake journalist. Here it is.
Unifying tone. But apparently, according to part-time make-believe journalists and full-time left-wing hate Trump conspiracy theorists like radical Rachel Maddow, well, Trump's speech was too dangerous for the fragile ears of NBC's loyal viewers. They didn't take any of the speech live. Instead, no, Miss Maddow was lecturing Americans about truth and integrity. This is a joke, right? Serious question. Does Maddow not have any self-awareness at all? No one in the media mob has peddled more lies, more conspiracy theories than Rachel Maddow every night for about 5.
Okay, so basically calling Maddow out because, you know, the entire Trump presidency, she's been talking about Russia, okay? And that blew up in her face. So here's the thing. You know the thing. You know the thing.
You know the thing.
So what people are saying, some people are saying, yeah, he's right. Oh, is there a whole segment on this? How long is this? Hang on a second. Oh, he did a whole 7-minute segment. So here's what happened. So after the during the Iowa caucuses, right? The different candidates in the Iowa caucuses made speeches after the results were, determined, right? So Ron DeSantis had a speech, NBC covered it, and MSNBC, the NBC network. Nikki Haley made a speech, NBC covered it. They didn't go live with Trump's speech. Now, Trump won by the largest margin ever in an Iowa caucus by any candidate. And NBC refused to carry the speech. Now, this is, what does a lesbian know about caucuses? Yes, AD, you are correct. So anyway, they refused to carry the speech. And look, we might as well get used to this if Donald Trump, who is the presumptive nominee, becomes the nominee. Some of the networks are going to refuse to cover him because that's the playbook. That's the playbook. They don't want to give him any press because the last time they gave him so much free press that, at least in 2016, constant recognition, right? So now they refuse to cover speech. Now, I'm curious what will happen as this continues on when he has, let's say he gets up to Super Tuesday and just blows everybody out, or everyone drops out by then. Are they going to cover any of his speeches then? Are they going to cover it when at the Republican National Convention if he's the nominee? It's going to get really interesting to see how the media, which completely manipulated the 2020 election coverage. They not only did they do it, this is not a conspiracy theory. They bragged about it. That Time magazine piece bragged about how the media did their job and got Donald Trump out of office, which really, is that your job as a journalistic venture? Nah, I don't think so. So there's some people super, super, super butthurt about what Sean Hannity said there. So I'll give you a couple examples. A lot of these shill accounts on Twitter that are basically paid Democrat activists for right here. Hannity is a college dropout. Rachel Maddow has a doctorate degree. I wonder which one to trust. Well, if it has to do with Donald Trump and Russian collusion between 2015 and 2020, I'm going to trust Sean because Rachel Maddow got it embarrassingly wrong. So there's your answer, dumbass. So there you go. Anyway, so that's why Sean Hannity is trending. Also, Rachel Maddow is trending. and Nick Searcy, no self-awareness whatsoever, no shame, no conscience. Someone here says there's a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. That's something Rachel Maddow said. Well, really? Let's see. Let's watch this video and see what he means by posting this. This is only a minute long, so we'll watch it. What the hell? Let's watch this and see what this is, because Rachel Maddow, the person who is so concerned about people saying untrue things. Wow, that's a weird freeze frame. Here we go.
There is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things.
Oh, really?
If you're unvaccinated, you have a much higher chance of getting this newly transmissible variant we had never seen before a couple of weeks ago. There is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly
Here, we'll just do this.
broadcasting untrue things. And it's the unvaccinated people who it's going to make sick. There is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. You really do not want to be the person who gets it and then spreads it to other people. There is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting
I'm adding the bells, by the way. Hello, Selected
Boy.
Boy.
That the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. Knowingly broadcasting untrue things. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus. The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. Untrue things. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. Untrue things.
All right. So, and that's just on the vaccines. That does not even start with the the Russia collusion, falsity, just flat out lies. So anyway, all right. So that's why Rachel Maddow and Sean Hannity are trending. Let's move on. Also trending right now, Howie Mandel is trending, and apparently Howie Mandel tried to rewrite. Let's see. Howie Mandel tries to rewrite. He's trending because he said something about vaccines, and apparently Robert Kennedy Jr. Put him in his place, I guess. Here's Howie Mandel tries to rewrite history on COVID vaccine and immediately gets schooled by RFK Jr. Howie, they never said you won't get COVID. RFK, I saw a tape yesterday of them saying it. Can I play it for you? Well, wait, it doesn't matter. Wait, what? Wait, it doesn't matter what Rachel Maddow said. Oh, no! He says it didn't matter what Rachel Maddow said. Let me see. This is 5 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let me see where it goes, and we'll stop it along the way.
A clinical trial study, you had 22,000 people who took the vaccine and 22,000 people who got the placebo. And what the result was, after 6 months, they had to hand that data to the FDA in order to get the emergency use authorization. What that data showed, that in the vaccine group, there was one COVID death of 22,000 people over 6 months.
Right.
In the unvaccinated group, there were 2 COVID deaths. So of 22,000 people. So that allowed the company to tell the public the vaccine is 100% effective.
100%, but that's a misnomer. 100% effective in as far as, because I saw people on the news going, well, I got the vaccine and I still got COVID. They never said you won't get COVID. They just said that it'll kind of pull back the severity of it.
It's time for a fact check.
Well proven. You had double the deaths without it.
But Howie, listen to this, okay?
Okay.
If this makes any sense to you. They say, what they're saying, out of 22,000 people, there was 1 COVID death among the vaccinated, and there was 2 COVID deaths on the unvaccinated.
Double.
22,000 people. So
double. Oh, listen to him. Double. Really? Yeah, out of 22,000 people.
And that allowed them to claim it's 100% effective.
Effective for what? You can't use the word effective.
But you remember they kept saying it's 100% effective.
No, they just said it'll negate the severity.
If you go on the internet, you can see Tony Fauci.
But the word effective didn't say you won't get. I never heard you won't get COVID.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a
except for Rachel Maddow. Remember? You won't get it. Stops in its tracks.
different subject. But yeah, in fact, I saw a tape yesterday of them all, of Biden, Fauci, Gates, Burla, all of them saying, if you take the vaccine, Rachel Maddow, if you take the vaccine, you can't get COVID,
Sam.
you can't pass COVID.
I didn't see that.
Okay, well, you know what? Can I play it for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Here, it doesn't matter what Rachel Maddow says.
All right.
Go.
Let me just.
Oh, it doesn't matter what Rachel Maddow says. Oh, you mean the person with the PhD in political science and bullshit? Anyway, you get the point there. It's funny. Howie Mandel is just Howie Mandel pushing back. That's why he's trending. All right, real quick. Let's. I got something that Reaction Puerto Rico sent me. Hello, Jethro Hetero, and Asan. I know I saw Asan, and I saw number one. They probably got buried in what we were talking about before. Okay, this is one that Reaction Puerto Rico sent me, and this is interesting. Arrow, Washington D.C. takes custody of Venezuelan non-citizen arrested for carrying machete and knife at the U.S. Capitol. I'm like, wait, what? Why did I move that over? Here it is. Is this it right here? So here's the report from Arrow, Washington. Enforcement and removal operations Washington, D.C. took custody of an undocumented citizen who was arrested for carrying a machete and a butcher knife and a brick at the U.S. Capitol. On December 27th, deportation officers from the ERO Washington, D.C. field office took custody of Jose Leonardo Marquez, a 23-year-old Venezuelan national who was arrested by U.S. Capitol Police on December 26th. He posed a significant threat to people in and around the Capitol. Thanks to our law enforcement partner at the U.S. Capitol Police, this threat was mitigated quickly. Fortunately, Marquez is currently in ERO custody and will face removal proceedings. So they're going to deport his ass, which, why is he here anyway? There's a lot of countries between here and Venezuela he could have requested asylum in. Anyway, Marquez unlawfully entered the United States on an unknown date at an unknown location without being admitted, inspected, or paroled by an immigration official. The U.S. border arrested Marquez on August 21st, 2022 near El Paso, Texas. The next day, U.S. BP released Marquez on alternatives to detention due to lack of detention capacity. That's what's happening at our border right now. It's called alternatives to detention due to lack of detention capacity. Marquez reported to ERO on October 5th in Washington, D.C., and they issued him a notice to appear before a Department of Justice immigration judge. The U.S. Capitol Police in Washington, D.C. arrested Marquez on December 26, 2023, and charged him with carrying a dangerous weapon and possessing a prohibited weapon. I don't know which one is dangerous and which one is prohibited, because he had a machete, and he had a butcher's knife, and he had a brick. Now, which is which there? Which was prohibited? Which one was, I don't know. just weird. And then he's currently in custody of ICE. So they are gonna send his ass away. But just think about it. So right here it said, he entered the United States on an unknown date at an unknown location without being admitted, inspected, or paroled by an immigration official. And again, he was released because due to what they call alternatives to detention due to lack of detention capacity. How many of the military-aged males of the 77 million or more people who have been encountered, not counting the ones that haven't been encountered, but the 7 million plus that have been encountered, that they've just said, well, we're gonna parole you, immigration officials gonna parole you, or who have gotten alternatives to detention due to lack of a detention capacity. How many of those are potential Jose Leonardo Marquez's? It's especially since we got 50,000 from Venezuela, at least. No, it's probably we for sure have 31,000 Chinese nationals that they've processed. We've got them coming from everywhere. We've got them we're coming from the Middle East, from some of the Middle East. What the hell are they doing? Now, if you watched yesterday, Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy were in New Hampshire giving a speech because they're getting ready for the New Hampshire primaries next week. And they've touched on this, that Donald Trump has pledged to end this bullshit at the border if he's elected. That's the only thing he needs to run on in certain places like Chicago, New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Minneapolis soon. Because right now, all of a sudden, a lot of people who are in New York that are not happy with their situation in New York that came across our border illegally, the illegal aliens that people don't like to call them illegal aliens. No person is illegal. Yeah, no, that's how they enter the country. They enter the country illegal, and they are alien to this country because they're not citizens. I just found out that they're going to start sending the people from New York, the Big Apple, to Minneapolis, the Little Apple. And our governor is just excited. He's tickled pink. Yeah, we don't need that shit. All right, Aaron Meredith, hello. Roasted Opinions, hello. And Justine Illusion, hey, what's up to you? What's up? Okay. Next, Davos is also trending, the World Economic Forum, and there's more. There's more. Now, a lot of people were kind of upset to find out that Argentinian President Javier Milei was heading to the World Economic Forum. And I thought to myself, is it bad that he went to the World Economic Forum? Because, everyone's made him out to be the next, the Argentinian Trump. Anytime there's someone who's populist or on the right in another country that gets elected, they call him that country's Trump and try to discredit him. So he went to the World Economic Forum. Now, did he go there to suck up to the World Economic Forum leaders, or did he go there to put a stick in their eye? So he went to Davos, and apparently there is Klaus Schwab, Dr. Evil, and apparently I'm not going to play this because it's a little long, but here's what it is. Breaking: Argentinian President Javier Milei warns against collectivism at Davos 2024. I'm beginning to like what I'm hearing already. Yesterday, Milei said he wanted to plant the ideas of freedom in a forum that is contaminated by the 2030 socialist agenda, and today he collects collectivism. Quote, "The main leaders of the Western world have abandoned the model of freedom for different versions of what we call collectivism. We're here to tell you that collectivist experiments are never the solution to problems that afflict the citizens of the world. Rather, they are the root cause." Okay, I think he went there to go stick it in their eye. Good for him. Now, the full speech here, it's, how long is the full speech? Let's see. Well, here we go. Okay, what the hell's going on here? Anyway, the full speech is there if you want to watch it. Also, let's see, the Davos Forum controls various domains in the world, such as legislation, finance, media, culture, police, and military, as well as people's thoughts and actions. We will definitely not allow the party of Davos to succeed in its plan to create digital slavery. The evil twins, the CCP and the party of Davos, are not far from their end. Davos Forum controls the world. CCP completely controls the Davos infiltration. Thank you. Yeah, there's between Klaus Schwab and China's push in the World Economic Forum, we just don't need to see it. All right, but I'll leave that thread open because there's a bunch of stuff going on in the Davos thread. You can see what the latest is. And Chevron is trending. Apparently, I don't understand what this thing about Chevron is. Here is. Okay, here it is. So the Supreme Court will hear 2 back-to-back cases over fishermen challenging a rule requiring them to keep and pay at sea monitors aboard their vessels. Such could also Such cases could also be the vessels to overturn a longstanding legal precedent known as Chevron. So apparently, fishermen have to pay government monitors to be out in the sea. Now, the Chevron deference is a pernicious doctrine that has enabled federal agencies to take over the court's power to interpret law and Congress's power to legislate. To its credit, the Supreme Court has not applied Chevron in recent years, but lower courts nonetheless continue to rely on it, creating confusion and inconsistency in the law. An explicit overruling would bring relief to countless Americans like the fishermen plaintiffs in Loper, Bright, and Relentless, who are at the mercy of unelected bureaucrats. So it's a law that governs fishermen that's going into the Supreme Court today, so that's a big case. As you hear pundits talk about Chevron this week, ask yourself, why do rich folks fighting safety regulations get to bypass agencies and go straight to the court, while poor folks fighting civil rights violations get stuck in procedural quicksand? You already know the answer. Oh, I'm sure it's racism, because that's always the answer, right? Let's see, right side of history. The fact that they've gotten Gen Z to take a pro-Chevron deference stance is insane. The Chevron defense gives government agencies a mind-boggling amount of power under which they can legislate by drafting regulations, execute by enforcing these regulations, adjudicate by interpreting those regulations as laws. This concentration contravenes the separation of powers principle central to the design of the U.S. government, which intends to prevent any one branch from accumulating too much power. Chevron deference basically gave the executive branch power on steroids, meaning as long as they got their people in government agencies, laws can totally be reinterpreted with each new administration. This is part of this. It's not Chevron. It's the company, but it's basically this is saying that these government regulators can make laws in the sea and not Congress. So it basically, since the executive branch is the one who, puts together these agencies, they put these agencies in, and then the agencies create rules and regulations, which for all practical purposes are laws. So this is why it's at the Supreme Court. They're saying that, no, you put all these rules and regulations on the seas or anywhere else in the country, no matter what it is, whether it's the EPA or the Department of Education or whatever, they make these regulations, and that acts as a law without the legislature actually passing a law that requires you to do what these unelected agencies tell you have to do. That's the point of this case. So this risk is that agencies will extend their regulatory reach beyond what Congress intended, infringing on individual rights and freedoms. Agencies might use the deference granted to them to expand their power, leading to an administrative state with excessive control over various aspects of life and business. Additionally, Chevron deference is an impediment to fair judicial review, as courts may defer to an agency interpretation, even if another interpretation is more consistent with the statutory text and legislative intent. This can result in upholding agency decisions that are overreaching or inconsistent with the law as written. Weakening Chevron deference is the minimum the Supreme Court should do. Now, he pointed out how Gen Z, though, takes a pro-Chevron deference defense stance, meaning loving government regulations, right? And government regulators and so on and so forth. So here's what he's talking about. Let's see if this is it.
Tomorrow, January 17th, the Supreme Court is hearing a case that's basically trying to undermine the power of all federal agencies, and it's flying entirely under the radar.
The power of federal agencies. That should be a red flag right there. Federal agencies having the power, or the Congress who makes laws having the power? Hello, Robert Banks. What's up, my friend? I could stop right there, but let's see what else this moron says.
Which, to the credit of the right-wing legal groups pushing it, is exactly the point. It's going to seem boring, which also to their credit is exactly the point.
Oh, maybe she's not a moron. We'll see.
Tomorrow, the Supreme Court will hear arguments in two combined cases, Loper, Bright, and Relentless. Technically, the case is about fisheries, but in reality, it's about whether or not to overturn a 40-year-old legal precedent called the Chevron Doctrine. Stay with me. The Chevron doctrine basically says that if Congress passes a law that has unclear language, the courts should let experts who work at government agencies interpret that language.
No.
If Chevron is overturned...
No. If it's an unclear law, then those experts should be coming back to Congress and help us fix the law and make sure it's voted on in a democratic, representative republic society, right? No, we shouldn't allow the regulators to just interpret the laws and make up new rules and based on the law. No. They're not the legislature. Anyway, what else?
Authority and expertise of all government agencies and the thousands of programs that they run is at risk.
Good. I say yes. Exactly. That's the correct stance. They're not elected officials.
Department of Labor, Environmental Protection Agency, the Food and Drug Administration.
Yes, all of them.
You probably want scientific experts in charge of things like regulating food and medicine in this country and not judges because they...
No, we want legislation. The agencies have too much damn power.
Didn't study that. They studied law. This is an attempt to undermine the functioning of federal agencies.
Good.
And the fact that a huge power grab by the courts like this is flying under the radar.
Power grab by the courts? You mean a reversal of a power grab by unelected people who are entrenched in government, usually, funded by politicians who get bribes from whoever they get bribes from. I don't know what I'm saying there.
Is scary, and we should probably be screaming about it a bit. I'm sorry, I don't have anything more helpful than that.
Okay, you're an idiot. Thank you for proving it. We were wondering, and now we know. So there you go. That's the... I wasn't familiar with it until I read that, but there you go. No. I don't want the government agencies to have more power. Okay, finally, last thing trending is Pakistan. Apparently there was an attack in Pakistan, but, well, let's see. This says Iran didn't attack Pakistan, but a known terrorist group in Pakistani soil. This is neither a Shia-Sunni conflict nor a Pakistan-Iran war call, but the countries have very brotherly relationships with each other. So here, Iran Observer. Breaking, Iran's foreign minister confirmed that Jaish-ud-Adal terrorists were struck in Pakistan. Pakistan has repeatedly ignored Iran's request to designate this group as terrorists so that they can't move freely in Pakistan. So apparently there was an attack in Pakistan. They attacked some group in Pakistan, and there might be some tensions now again between Iran and Pakistan. So watch that one closely. All right, let's get into this. I know I didn't leave myself much time, but I do want to play this particular video. Let's see if I can get it to the beginning here. So here's the video that I've been commenting on Instagram lately. And it's, let's see here. It's based on a CNN report. So we're going to watch this and we're going to watch the CNN report.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on a second. And this is a guy who spends a lot of time talking about, he loves to talk about how he's helping black people by having black, he's a white savior kind of guy. All right, here we go. Because he's going to say that, well,
systemic racism.
Does systemic racism still exist?
Absolutely. My name is Ben. For the last 20 plus years, I work with individuals and organizations to heal and grow through compassionate curiosity. But just yesterday, many major news organizations reported on a recent report.
Now, hold on. Interesting, he says. And this is something that I dealt with when I first got into the mortgage business, because Acorn was still around, and they would put out a report like this one we're going to talk about every year. And they basically would take the same report over and over, change a few words in it, and they report on it all around election time. And then every news media would pick up on it that, oh, yes, lenders are discriminating against black people. And I was in the business at the time, and I thought, let me go through this report. And I would read the report. And every single time every single time there would be a couple things that they left out because the reports would never include credit in the calculations. Credit's a big deal. And, we have a running gag in the black community that, we have bad credit. Now, not every black person has bad credit. In fact, the person that had the best credit I've ever seen when I was in that business was a young black man who owned a house. He was in his late 20s. He owned a house in North Minneapolis, which is very, that's where, if you want to call it the hood, he lived in the hood, had a house in North Minneapolis. And I had never seen anyone with someone had almost nearly 850 credit scores across the board. Never had seen that before. This guy had impeccable credit. He had his house, didn't have a huge balance on it. He has a couple credit cards, low balances, but they'd had them for 8-9 years. He had he'd just paid off a car loan. I had never seen someone that had 3 800s across the board. I've seen some with 800s and then high 700s. This guy had 800s plus across the board. I was like, damn, I'd never seen this before. He was the easiest loan I ever did. But I digress. So anyway, when he said, what did he just say? He said something stupid. But anyway, here we go.
Credit union is the largest credit union in America.
He's talking about Navy Federal Credit Union.
And in 2022, they denied more than 50% of black applications.
Denied more than 50% of black applications.
While at the same time approving over 75% of white applications.
Now, it's interesting he said he denied 50% of black applications, but at the same time approving over 75% of white applications. Now, first of all, applications are not white and black. They're actually white paper with black numbers, but that was a stupid joke. No, it's funny. He says denied 50% of black applications, but approved over 75% of white applications. We'll get to this.
The Navy Federal Credit Union approved a higher percentage of white borrowers making less than $60,000.
Now, this is an irrelevant fact, even though he uses this.
Than they did black borrowers making more than $140,000.
That's an irrelevant statistic. Did you know that? Because income is only relevant as far as your debt to income ratio. And I've seen it before. I've seen people with huge incomes and high credit scores get denied because they were unemployed and didn't have a good accounting of what their income is. Or I've seen people denied who have high incomes but shitty credit. I've seen people with high incomes who have no reserves. Once you close in their loan, they'd have nothing. You're supposed to have at least 2 months, and depending on the size of the loan, sometimes 6 months in reserve after you close, and they had zero. So someone with high income can not be approved for loans if they have crap credit. Believe it or not, there are people with high incomes with crap credit. It's not common. And let's say you only make $60,000. Well, if you're only buying an $80,000 house and your payment's only $300 a month, you don't have any other debt, you'll get approved for that loan. It has nothing to do with your income. Anyway.
Black borrowers are more than twice as likely to be denied than white borrowers when considering the following.
Whoa, wait a minute. Twice as likely to be denied? So 75% of white borrowers were approved. 50% of black borrowers were approved. Twice? And again, it has nothing to do. There's a whole lot of factors on whether people are approved for loans. But anyway, let me go on.
Income.
Oh, notice these are the factors. Income.
Debt to income ratio.
Debt to income ratio. Property value. Down payment. Property value. It's funny. Property value doesn't really mean anything either. It's not other than your loan to value, but the property value doesn't matter.
And neighborhood characteristics all being the same.
And neighborhood characteristics mean nothing when it comes to lending. Lenders don't care about the neighborhood characteristics other than is the house there and is it actually worth what it's worth. So these are some of these factors are irrelevant as from loan officers. I did this for 12 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
Home ownership drastically improves an individual's wealth trajectory.
Okay.
And this is an
True.
area that America has failed black people over and over again.
Yeah.
From redlining.
Redlining, yeah, back in the 60s, my parents were a victim of redlining, but is redlining happening now? I since the 90s, not really, even though some people say that it is. There are things called low-income census tracts, but you know what they do with low-income census tracts? Lenders are bending over backwards to try to get loans in those areas because of former past discrimination based on redlining. So, no. In fact, it's funny because Wells Fargo settled a suit of kind of the similar case, which I don't know why they settled, probably because it would have cost them more to fight it. But they were when I was in this business, they were in particular one of the lenders that we used, because I was a broker, that highly rewarded and encouraged people to find borrowers and do loans in low-income census tracts. So, yeah. So you're talking about something in the past that may not apply now.
To putting in dams to flood thriving black communities.
What? Yeah. Oh, you mean in the 1930s? Yes. America was a shitty country for black people in the past. Yes, I completely agree with you. But what does that have to do with the Navy Federal Credit Union now? And I'll get to it.
Carving up inner city black neighborhoods.
Yep, they did do that. Like they did that in St. Paul. They've done it in a lot of cities. Okay. Let's join the current century. And let's talk about the last 50 years. Has that been happening in the last 50 years? Yes, it was shitty in the past. But you're taking past discrimination to blame what things are happening now.
We need to do much better.
Hello, Cindy Bishop.
And don't be the white person who responds with, well, actually, it's a bit more complicated than that.
Now, a lot of people that I've commented on this video say I am that white person who said it's a bit more complicated than that, but I'm not white. That's the name of the show. I'm a black man. And my experience in how lending changed since the 60s, when a lot of times there'd just be some good old boy in the back who approved your loan, versus now, where the credit scoring system, underwriting, it's all an algorithm now, basically. That's the best way to describe it. Mortgage lending is an algorithm. You plug in the data, and if the data works, you get approved, and the data doesn't work, you don't approve. Different lenders have different parameters and different stretch points. And depending on where you go apply for your loan, you may or may not be able to qualify at one place, but you may be able to qualify at another place. And I'll explain why the Navy Federal Credit Union might be a little tighter than other places. We'll get that. Well, hopefully I'll get to it. I'm running out of time here.
Because it isn't. Hope this helps.
No, doesn't help at all. Does not help at all. Now, in this thread, this video, here's where this came from, though. Here's the CNN report. Where they have the big headline. It always happens when election years are coming up, too, by the way. Always comes in during election season, where they start seeing the report, because they want to rile up black people, which is fine. And if they really find discrimination in this particular case, that would be awesome if they actually find it. But I'm not convinced by the report that they gave here. And they didn't put a copy of the so-called report. They just decided to write an article by Casey Tolan, Audrey Ash, and Renee Marsh. Because, it used to be about this time of year that we would get the Acorn report. That isn't happening. So there's somebody who's an activist who decided to look this up. But here we go. The largest credit union in the U.S. has the widest disparity in mortgage approval rates between white and black borrowers of any major lender, a trend that reached new heights last year. This is CNN analysis found. Navy Federal Credit Union, which lends to military service members and veterans, approved more than 75% of the white borrowers. Wow, according to most recent data available from Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but less than 50% from black borrowers who applied for the same type of loan were approved. Now, again, that's important too, the same type of loan. Now, credit unions usually credit unions usually go by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac guidelines on their conventional loans, and they're probably the most stringent on loan parameters such as debt to income ratio rate, reserves, meaning how much money you have left over after you close on your loan. You have to have at least 2 months of coverage of all your bills for that. You have to have and down payment and all these different factors. There's about a dozen factors on whether a loan is approved or not. The Navy Federal Credit Union does not service loans, which means they lend you the money. Okay, they're the lender initially, but when you get to closing, you're usually going to sign some kind of a document that tells you that your loan has been sold to a servicer. Often places like Wells Fargo, Chase, well, not Chase so much. Chase does a little bit. Wells Fargo buys the most. They're the biggest servicer in the country. Bank of America, whatever. Meaning that once you've approved their loan and you paid your fees and whatever not, the Navy Federal Credit Union immediately sells your loan to someone who's going to actually service the loan, the company that you're going to make your loan payments to. Now, in order to be able to sell those loans, okay, they have to have a really good track record with lenders who will buy those loans and service them, because those lenders don't want to be they don't want loans that are going to default, right? So, and generally with credit unions, and not all credit unions, but a lot of credit unions, they go to the old school, like debt to income ratios, like 28% of your income can be your mortgage payment, 36 total debts of all your debts, okay? Now, direct lenders like Wells Fargo, they have different expanded programs based on credit score or based on if you live in a low income tract. Some say they'll stretch those out to 45% or whatever. They'll stretch those limits. Credit unions, for the most part, will not do that because they have to sell their loans. They can't afford to service a whole bunch of mortgages. So, the fact that they're the largest credit union in the country doesn't matter. They do not service mortgage loans. They will originate, they will fund and close mortgage loans, but they immediately sell them, so they don't have those loans on their books. They're a credit union. They're not a lender. So they have tight guidelines. I'm guessing the Navy Credit Union has tight guidelines. The other problem is the main reason. With credit unions, a lot of credit unions or a lot of direct lenders do this. When they take applications, I suppose at a credit union in particular. Hello, Jeff Overture. They take the full application immediately. They probably take applications online. They probably have a way to do it online. So anytime they take an application, if it is rejected immediately due to credit, that has to be reported via the, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, okay? That counts as a rejection. Now, I made the point. Well, here, I'm gonna go on here, so you gotta listen here. While many banks also approved white applicants with at higher rates than black borrowers, the nearly 29 percentage point gap in Navy Federal Credit Union's rates was the widest of any of the 50 lenders that originated the most mortgage loans last year. The disparity remains even among white and black applicants who had similar incomes. Okay, you can have similar incomes and very disparate other factors. Debt to income ratio, you can have very similar debt to income ratios and have disparate other factors. Notably, Navy Federal Credit approved a slightly higher percentage of applications from white borrowers making less than $63,000 a year than it did of black borrowers making $140,000 or more. Irrelevant. It all depends on how much you're trying to borrow. A person making $62,000 may only be trying to borrow $30,000. A person making $140,000 might be trying to borrow $10 million. There's a reason that's again not very relevant as far as me as I'm listening, as I'm reading this as a person who spent time in this business. A deeper statistical analysis performed by CNN, found that black applicants to Navy Federal were more than twice as likely to be denied as white applicants, even when more than a dozen different variables. Let's see what the variables they use. Income, okay, were all only if these variables all match up perfectly can you determine if there's a disparate action for other reasons. Income, debt to income ratio, property value only matters in the fact of whether or not how much you're putting down payment, down payment percentage, and neighborhood characteristics. Again, those are the last three there: property value, down payment percentage, and neighborhood characteristics. They matter for appraisals and if the property's worth what they say it's worth. Okay, when they were the same. The Virginia-based Navy Federal, which originally founded in 1933 to serve Navy employees, is now open to all members of the military, Department of Defense personnel, veterans, and their relatives. Has about 13 million members and more than 165 billion in assets. They don't service loans, I bet. Now, then they go on to they have a sad story, and they have a video of it. Bob Otondi, a black business owner in Texas who was denied a mortgage by Navy Federal Credit Union in 2021 and then approved by another lender in about 2 weeks, said the rejection didn't make any sense at all. I thought it could have been discrimination, he's told CNN, but I could never prove it. In total, now, as someone who did this for a living, yeah, there are times when lenders that we did, I was a broker, so I worked with a lot of different lenders. There were some lenders who would reject a loan while another lender would approve the loan because they had different, made different criteria more important. A lot of times the direct lenders were more flexible because they were willing to stretch loan to value ratios or debt to income ratios or whatever ratios that they're calculating. They were going to service the loan. They took on that responsibility. A credit union who's trying to sell the loan cannot do that because they want a perfect loan to sell to another lender because they want to make sure they have a good track record of selling loans so they can continue selling their loans so they do not have to service loans themselves. Let's see. In total, the credit union rejected about 3,700 black applicants for home purchase mortgages last year, potentially blocking them from home ownership just as interest rates spiked. And Navy Federal also approved Latino borrowers at significantly lower rates than white. So this is interesting. They put some graphs here. 77% of 77 to 48%. So that's still not double, but anyway, 69% of Asians, 64% of Native Americans, 56% of Latinos, and 48% of black approval by race or ethnicity. Still, you need the details of every single loan. How many, look, there's so many factors on why loans are approved. And the fact that credit was not listed in that scenario, when we know that, just from my own experience, who worked with a third of my borrowers were black. There were a lot more credit issues in the black community, and not necessarily a lot of it was either financial literacy, a lot of it was more cavalier attitudes about paying bills on time. I pay my, one of my things I would always ask customers beforehand. I said the first question I would ask them: how would you describe your credit? If the words excellent immediately came out of their mouth, probably 95 times out of 100, they would have excellent credit. If the first thing that came out of their mouth was, or I pay my bills, I knew I was going to have problems. Some people say, I think it's pretty good. Then I'd start asking, do you have late payments? Do this and that? If the words "I pay my bills" come out of my mouth, it came out of their mouth, I knew I was in for something. So anyway, so this thing goes on and on, but the main thing is they never mention, the only time they mention credit is when the Navy Federal Credit Union responds. In a statement, Navy Federal Credit spokesman Bill Pearson defended the credit union's lending practices. Navy Federal Credit Union is committed to equal and equitable lending practices and strict adherence to all fair lending laws. Employee training, fair lending statistical testing, third-party evaluations, and compliance reviews are embedded in our lending practices to ensure fairness across the board. He said, the CNN's analysis does not accurately reflect our practices because it did not account for major criteria required by any financial institution to approve a mortgage loan. Those factors include credit score, available cash deposits, meaning reserves after closing, and relationship history of the lender, which is actually bullshit. That relationship history of the lender, not really important. Unless you've been with somebody like 40 years. But that's not. Because underwriting since the 90s has basically been I would describe it as an algorithm. You plug in all the numbers and it either fits your program based on your loan parameters or it does not. And it's based on credit score and how far those stretch based on a credit score, whatever. Now, the guy that they made the sob story about here, he got a loan at another lender, again, probably because they had expanded debt-to-income ratio, because that was why he got rejected in the end. And one of the things that I always tell people who are trying to get a loan, if you're in the middle of a mortgage thing and you get approved and you're ready and you're going to go get your house, do not buy anything between the time you apply for the loan and the time you close, because every lender nowadays is going to check your credit at the beginning of the process, and then they're going to check your credit just before you close. And why do they do that? Because they want to see if you've taken out any new credit that they have to account for. So, for example, it happened to me one time, and I warned every client or borrower after that. One time, we had someone who was going to refinancing their house, and we were doing the mortgage process, whatever, and they went and bought a car in the middle of the process and took out a new loan for a car, and it screwed up their debt-to-income ratio, and I couldn't close on the loan right away. I found a way to do it later. But I couldn't close the loan because it screwed up their debt-to-income ratio, and I couldn't use that lender anymore because they had very strict debt-to-income ratio parameters. So it's the idea that they're going to collectivize by race or by demographic when you have to go into every single loan and determine why each loan was either approved or denied more likely. And the fact that they're not using credit, which is just a common theme in black comedians' repertoire, that black people had bad credit, which is not true because not all black people have bad credit. That's not true. But it comes up a lot, especially in low-income census tracts. In fact, the white people in low-income census tracts tend to have bad credit too. It's not just the black people. There just happens to be a lot of black people in low-income census tracts, or financially illiterate. People don't always learn about credit from their parents. They learn through it either maybe in school, barely, which we should, but most people learn financial literacy through trial and error and just living life. And then they figure out later, oh, I probably should learn how to do this because I want to buy a house someday and my credit's all fucked up. So anyway, the funniest thing though about this, and I'm out of time now, is that these people, as I've been going just trying to explain this to people in this thread, that, there's a whole lot of things wrong. In fact, the first thing I said, I was a loan officer for 12 years, and every time I hear this type of argument, I always listen to the one criteria that goes without mention. And of course, it's the one criteria you left out. Underwriters who approve loans don't care. I meant to say don't care, but I said don't know. And that's credit. And I meant to write don't care about the race of the borrower, and I accidentally wrote don't know. Yes, they do know, because you fill out the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act information. But anyway, don't care about the race of the borrower, but the first thing they see is the credit scores. That is the one thing that I had to work with my black clients the most. Sometimes we had to work with people for months or years to help them understand credit and how to get their credit scores up so we could get an approval. That's why black comedians are always joking about bad credit, because it's far more common among black folks. Not all, And not because of discrimination. It's because we're not teaching financial literacy in schools, and most ain't learning it at home either. And oh, did I get pushback? Oh my gosh, you did not see they said white borrowers with the same credit score were approved and black borrowers were denied. No, they did not say that. In fact, they explicitly said credit scores were not included because they're not publicly available information. And just it just went on and on and on. But now I'm done because I'm out of time. But I just want to assure you, my audience, who has been here with me for, some of you have been here since day one 5 years ago, and some of you just been here the last couple of years, and some have been here the last couple of months, whatever. I am indeed a black person with a black father, and in fact, my father's Nigerian, and my family I grew up with was black American descendants of slaves. And boy, oh boy, even though my melanin content and my pigment don't show through that much, I am indeed a black man. So that's the theme of the day. I will drop these links in the comment section and the outro or whatever description, and we will see you tomorrow. It's still 5-year anniversary of the Morning Night Live. Drop a 5 spot in the tip jar sometime this week for in honor of 5 years of the Morning Night Live. That's it. I gotta go. Hello to Bishop, and I saw your note that you watching replays. Thank you very much for doing that. Hit the like button, share the stream, and pdognight.live 24 hours a day if you want to drop a $5 in the tip spot. Gotta go. Thank you. My name's pdognight. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Night, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Night, and I'm out of here.